Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast. It's Jennie Bellinger, your direct sales dom, and I am here with another Rodan & Fields leader. Now, Jill Ludington has been with Rodan & Fields for 4 years. She has achieved level 5 circle, which for those of you who are in Rodan & Fields, you know that's really a big deal, especially to do so in less than 4 years. That's huge. And so Jill is joining us from Texas. And here's a little bit about her. She is passionate about helping others feel confident and loved in their own skin. She helps others just be you through empowering with an education and knowledge in theater, open and affirming the LGBT plus community, and skincare. Her mission is to make a difference in and beyond the walls of her own home with love, which, that gives me goosebumps, Jill. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jennie, for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. So tell us a little bit, because I know you and I talked a few weeks ago, and you told me your story getting into Rodan & Fields, and I have to say it is a fairly unique story. So tell us, how did you begin with Rodan & Fields?
Sure. My background is education. I'm an educator by trade, and I am still a part-time educator at the university here locally because I love education. I've never done any type of direct selling before, and honestly, didn't even have a social media account of any sort prior to working this business. So Rodan & Fields just came, honestly, just kind of fell in my lap. And it was all about my son. Honestly, we had struggled with teenage acne with him for several years. We had tried over-the-counter products. We had gone to a dermatologist to seek professional help. And we were prescribed an antibiotic and a steroid cream. And those issues did get better. But then they would go back and we'd be right back into the same cycle of the acne. And they would change that dosage. It would get better for a little bit. And then we'd be right back to where we were. So we were at a point with the dermatologist that they were telling us that he was going to need to get on Accutane. And both my older brothers, I'm a baby, I'm the baby of the family, and my older brothers had both used Accutane back in the 80s. I really remembered everything that they went through using that medication, and I just did not have a good feeling about it. So I was going to exhaust everything I possibly could as a mom. As a side note, our oldest also is a member of the LGBT plus community. So at this time in his life, not only was he struggling with teenage acne, but he was also struggling with his own identity. Looking at himself in the mirror and not liking what he saw and just coming to terms with who he was and loving himself. The only way I felt like I could help as a mom through that was, of course, to love him for who God created him to be, which is exactly how he was, but also to help him love the skin that he was in. And so I decided I was going to do some research. I stumbled upon Rodan & Fields, and I had a cousin that was a consultant with Rodan & Fields. She was a retired CPA, and she was going to start us off being customers, and that was a 60-day money-back guarantee. So for someone like me who is very conscientious about money that I spend, that was the real clincher for me, because I'd never gotten money back from dermatologist prescriptions or the multitude of things we had tried over the counter. So I felt like this was worth taking one more risk on. So we decided we were going to be customers. And then my cousin started talking to me about the business. I had no background whatsoever in sales other than selling theater tickets. And I said, no, that's just really not something I'm interested in. But when she talked to me about saving money, that I connected with. So I got into the business to strictly get the best price. And through my results, my son's results, naturally sharing it with friends and family, I saw very quickly that Gavin's results and my results spoke for themselves. And I was getting, customers here and there. So when I saw how easy that was, then I decided to start treating this business like a business. And I got myself into gear, gave myself 6 months to, kick some butt. And after that time, I had replaced my teaching income. So, through that whole 6 months is when I really knew how powerful Rodan and Fields could be for me, for my family, and for what my ultimate goal was, which was still making a difference beyond and within the walls of my home.
That's phenomenal. Because, the one thing a couple of things stick out. First of all, you got into the business because you had a big why behind it, which was to help your son.
Yep.
Right? To help him love who he is in his own skin. And that is a huge why to be a part of business. But then the second thing that jumps out at me was the fact that as you were going along, all of a sudden you realized, oh, this is really a business. And then you started treating it like a business. And when you started doing that, things started happening and you were able to replace your income, which, that's probably the number one thing I hear from people who want to work with me is, I want to replace my income. How do I do it?
Yeah.
Right. So as you were going along, because obviously in 4 years of business, it's not going to be all smooth sailing, right? So in these 4 years, what would you say? Now, for those who are listening right now, we're recording this in the middle of quarantine from the COVID situation. And so we're going to say pre-COVID, what was your biggest obstacle? We want to put this in a little bit of context so that way people who are listening, because obviously we haven't solved this one yet, but what was your biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it before?
Great question. I think a consultant, as a Rodan and Fields independent skincare consultant, serving customers was really where I found the most success early on. And it was just shocking to me that the people that ended up being my customers weren't always best friends of mine. They were people I had not spoken to in years or complete strangers. And so I think it was hard for me to accept the fact that the people that I felt like were my quote unquote go-to dirt market per se, that they would buy dirt from me, were not supporting me in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a hard pill to swallow. And I think as a leader, once I, built a team, the hardest thing for me to learn was that I couldn't do this business for my team. They had to want it for themselves, just like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so unless, they were willing to put in the work, I couldn't find their success for them. So I think that was a hard lesson for me to learn too, that I wanted their success, that I was there to support and there to coach, but they had to want it for themselves. So yeah, those would be my two, I think.
Yeah. And we see that across the board in all different product categories in direct sales and network marketing. That's something certainly that my team struggled with when I was active in my jewelry business 10 years ago. Was my team members would say, well, my sister won't have a party for me, or my mom won't have a party for me, or my best friend won't have a party for me. And I was like, right, exactly. And that's probably a good thing, because you don't want your friends and family feeling like they have to buy from you. What would be really nice is if, they see what's going on and you're able to gift these types of things to them, right? Because then they get to try it and they're like, oh, well, duh, maybe I should do this, right? But
Right.
that initial support isn't necessarily going to happen because, frankly, how many of us are out supporting that same person in their business, right? It just
Yep.
depends on if we believe we need their products or services. So, I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and having that mindset shift of realizing, okay, I've got to learn to do business without those people. So how do I get out there? So how did you get outside of your circle of friends and family to really begin to build a business to the point where you were able to achieve one of the highest levels in your company?
I tell you, I just told myself that I was going to be consistent and I would not lay my head down on the pillow until I had done X amount of reach outs per day, period. End of story. And I just wouldn't let myself go to bed until that was done every day. And then after that, I found also a bit of time where I was getting scared to reach out to certain people for
Mm.
whatever reason. Maybe I hadn't talked to them in, years, or maybe I felt like they would be judging me, whatever it might be. And I listened to this consultant training one day, and the trainer said, "You're not as important as you think you are." And that really, really hit me because she said, here you are thinking that you've sent this message or you've made this phone call and left a voice message and they haven't returned it. And you're thinking, oh, they're laughing at Jill Ludington. Can you believe Jill Ludington sent this to me? Hey, everybody, has Jill Ludington reached out to you? Can you believe that she's doing this? Where really what happened is they were sitting there making supper. You messaged them and the oven buzzer went off, or they were at a stoplight, looked at their phone, saw that you were calling and it turned green, or whatever it is. You're not as important as you think you are. And so when I heard that, I just started going with the theory of next. So when they didn't reply, or they did reply and said, no, this isn't for me, I just remembered next,
Mhm. Yeah, the person at the deli counter doesn't get upset when number 87 doesn't show up, right? She just goes, "Okay, 88."
Yeah.
Right? Someone else out there wants my deli stuff. Someone else wants some turkey, right? Someone else needs skincare, right? So all this time people spend pining after this person who won't respond. They're missing out on all this time they could be spending with the person who really honestly needs their product and service and sees the value in it right now.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Huge, huge, huge thing. I hope you guys are really picking up on what Jill is putting down for you. She's already hitting these secrets of success before we even ask the question. You guys are so used to hearing it at the end of the podcast, and she's just dropping these bombs in the middle of the interview here. I love it. So Jill, as you've been going along and doing your business now, let's go ahead and address the COVID issue a little bit, because we definitely don't want to be tone deaf to what's going on, and certainly we understand that we're all encountering this in a different way. So how would you say that this is impacting your business now, and how are you handling the change, the shift?
Well, is it affecting my business currently? Yes, absolutely. And the biggest thing that I have told myself and my husband through all this is just that I've got to give myself grace. And I
Mhm.
also have to trust my ability in what I do as a consultant and a human being in providing excellent customer service. And again, going back to my why, which is helping people within and beyond the walls of my home. And as long as I am staying true to that objective and staying true to me, I know that this is all going to and come back to me, whether it's monetarily or not. It's going to come
Mhm.
back fourfold. I'm just going to be blessed over and over because of how I respond during this situation. And so for me, I am focusing on service more than I ever have. And I pretty much pride myself on customer service. So I'm serving in a different way. I am reaching out to people and asking, how they are. I am not pushing sales whatsoever. I'm asking how they are. What can I do for them? Whether that has nothing to do with Rodan and Fields or not. And it is wonderful to be able to help. I tutored one of my customers' daughters in English the other day. And because, they're at home learning, and she is a high school English student. And she said, Jill, you were certified to teach English too, right? Yes. Do you think you could help my daughter? And that felt amazing to be able to do. And so I just feel like during this time, I just have to trust. And I will also say that I've also gotten new customers this month. And I that was a learning moment for me, because I had told myself, Jill, just get ready. Just get ready. You're probably not going to get any customers this month. And I was making decisions for people. And that's not for me to do. I don't know what someone needs and doesn't need. And so 2 customers happened that I wasn't planning on. I mean, I had not reached out to them about Rodan and Fields in forever. And just because I was touching base with them and they know that I run this business, they found themselves in need and were ready to start. The time was right for them. And so that was a learning moment for me, for sure, is that just because all this is going on, that does not mean that someone doesn't need my help with skincare.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, people, interestingly enough, I think a lot more people are actually taking better care of their skin now than they were before, because hey, we got a little more time on our hands, right?
Yeah.
We're not rushing through our skincare routine the way we maybe used to a few weeks ago. So I think that's a really cool thing to focus on, the customer service and the customer relationship building going through this process, because people are in many ways feeling very disconnected. And so to be able to reach out and continue to develop that relationship further, even if they're not going to place their order this month, you're still saying, hey, I'm here for you. What can I do? And I think that's so cool that you got to help tutor somebody. How much fun is that? I mean,
yeah, it was awesome.
That's such a neat thing that you're going to pull away from this, and she's going to remember that probably for a long time, that, oh my gosh, thank goodness Jill, helped me in that time. And so I think that will come back. Like you said, it may not be monetarily immediately, but at some point, what you put out there comes back. It's karma is a thing.
Absolutely.
So with all of this 4 years of experience, and certainly being at the level that you are with your business, I imagine that you would have a secret or secrets to success that you use to instill in your own team members. What are some of these secrets, or what is a secret, if you had to pick one or maybe 2, that you would share with someone on your team?
I definitely say consistency. It's got to be number one. It is so important to stay consistent, just like with anything. If you want results on losing weight and being in shape, you have to stay consistent in your workouts. Everything takes consistency in life. And so that would definitely be my number one. I think my number 2 would be to stay connected and engaged with whatever type of training that is available, whether that is training that's offered on your team, where you're going to do some personal training through reading or, listening to your podcast, or maybe you have a private coaching group that you're going to. I mean, I am doing your personal coaching group now, but any of those type of activities that help with personal growth and staying connected with your business, I think are truly important, because, as an educator, I would do continuing education hours and stay up with my craft and learn all the newest technology to be offered, or learn the newest directing tips when I was doing theater. So why would this be any different? I just really think that continuing your education and growth is important in whatever you do.
I think that's phenomenal. And I have to agree with that. really when I was running my business, I felt the same way. Every training that my upline offered, I was there. Like as long as I physically could be, I made sure that I was there, and that I also offered a ride to my team members to say, "Hey, do you want to go with me? I'm going to be driving anyway, so you may as well just ride with me."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And getting that information, because, sometimes that information that I learned made a difference in my business in the next month. It helped me be a better salesperson. It helped me be a better sponsor. It helped me be a better leader, which are all different skills that you need in this direct sales network marketing business. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. And the consistency of using what you're learning is so important, because if you're trying something new and then dropping it, and trying something new and then dropping it, and trying something new and then dropping it, there's no consistency there, with the exception of you're having a bunch of things not work for you the first time, so you drop it without giving it any chance to really take hold. So I think that's phenomenal. Those are great secrets to success. So, Jill, for people who want to reach out and learn more about you and your business, I think you and I had talked about this before we got on the interview, that you would prefer that they message you through Facebook. Is that right?
Yes, I would love to have anybody just go and check out my Facebook page at Jill Ludington. It's just 1D, Ludington, and check me out on that page. Kind of see what I'm about. And if I seem like someone that you would be interested in visiting with, I would love to visit with you and see if Rodan Fields might be a fit for you, and if I might be a fit for you as far as someone who could help you and take care of you.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. And for those of you, if you do wish to reach out to Jill, just check in the show notes. We've got all of her different forms of contact, including the link directly to her Facebook page. So you can just click right there in the show notes. Just scroll up on your phone. You'll see all those links. Pick that Facebook Messenger link or that Facebook link to go check out her page and connect with Jill. So thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge, Jill. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Well, everybody, this has been another great episode here on the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast. And I just want you to stay tuned for the next kick-ass episode.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast, so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.